Good afternoon, everybody. Chuck Karstensen, Michelle Karstensen team, Remax results. A quick, sort of impromptu. Me and Michelle talked about this. What's happening in Minnesota real estate show, episode number 28. Hi, Michelle. How's it going today?
Hi, it's good. At least the sun's shining. It's starting to be warmer out here. So,
Yes, I see the sun shining in your vehicle, a little glare in there. I am inside, but it's nice. I like a little bit of warmth. I don't like the freezy cold of last week. That's just me though. I don't know. Maybe some people do like the freezy cold. A couple people. I don't think most people do though.
I mean, I don't, but honest to gosh, I've been like doing 45-minute workouts every day for my 75-day hard phase 1 outside every day. And yes, it was 2 or 3 days. It was pretty cold, whereas holding my hands over my scarves and my eyes were watering pretty hard. But otherwise, it isn't actually that bad.
Not when you're moving. No, I get it. I get it.
No.
So I am broadcasting live on my personal Facebook page, which right now, if anybody listened to my last podcast or has been on my Facebook page, I'm known as Voy Hoy Lin. I explained that in the last podcast, what happened there. But if somebody is just tuning in, like, what the heck are you talking about? Where is Chuck Karstensen on Facebook? Or why do you have a different name? Or a couple of people said, I really like the new name. Yeah, basically somebody spammed, hijacked my account. I don't think it was a person's name there, but then they changed my name. And on Facebook, you cannot change it back for 60 days. So that was January 12th. So maybe like, what would that be? Like March 12th or, well, there's 28 days in February. Sometime middle of March, I can go back to be known as Chuck Karstensen on Facebook.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know. People are probably like, what? They see Chuck's face with some weird name. You'll get all these messages like, Chuck, your name's not right.
I had several people when I got back on. I was off of it for 2.5 weeks. And then one night I was like, well, maybe I can get back in there. Because I tried to get back in. Like Facebook has some steps and they're like, at the end of the steps, send your ID. And I double checked to make sure that's what Facebook does sometimes. And I sent it, then nothing happened. Then I went back in there and did something else and they never got back to me. And I was like, oh, and then I tried again. Then I was able to do a little bit more. And then I got in there. They just won't let me change the name back till 60 days. So I'm probably not going to be super active on Facebook. And people are probably like, there's Chuck with a different name. What's happening? That's a little bit of what's happening. Go back to the last podcast to listen more about what's happening. We're not going to talk about it too much on this one. And then it's on my YouTube channel. We'll probably share it back on the Facebook regular Karstensen team page. Michelle will share it on her page, and more people will know about that and other things we're talking about. Mostly on the What's Happening in Minnesota real estate show, we talk about real estate, but there's always some off-topic subject like that Facebook subject. So what is happening in Minnesota real estate, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an offer yesterday, I think 2 days ago. The last 2 offers I've written were in multiple offers and I did not get them. So yeah, I think there was 4 offers on the property. I made an offer on in Maple Grove. I've seen multiple agents post that they've written in multiple offers, 10,000 over, depending on the list price, of course, and they're not getting them. So here we are, and not because the prices are flying over the radar. So if you're hearing this, it's not what's happening. We have a lack of supply of homes on the market. So when you have a lack of supply of homes on the market, this is what happens. So Michaela's going to come over here and drive for me so that I can be on this. Lack of supply of homes on the market, but you got sunshine now, so people are starting to buy. Their leases probably run out March, April, May, June, pretty typical. They're going to want to buy. They don't want to rent anymore. So you're going to see multiple offers until we get some more supply in the market. Do you agree, Chuck?
Yeah, I agree. And part of it too, remember there was that stall period, not that we weren't selling any properties, but it was a little bit slower, let's say mid-October through recently. And those people who probably were going to be in the market or wanted to be in the market or planned to be in the market have been watching, seeing what was going to happen, what's going to happen with the economy, what's happening with real estate, what's happening with interest rates. And I think now that the interest rates have settled down a little bit and there's some good news on the economy in some ways, and obviously there's still going to be a lot of challenges. But I think in general, people need a place to live. They can either pay out of their mind for rent, or they can buy a house, or they can live where they don't want to live, or like we advocate, live where you want to live. So people do want to live where they want to live, and that creates people buying and selling. I think that the only losers in this scenario, when supply and demand's like this, and the prices will stay, I still think flat. I think Michelle was not indicating they're like jumping way up higher, but they were seeming to dip, which they did off their peaks last year. But I predicted this a long time ago. They'd stay relatively flat, and that's because there's not enough supply out there. They're not going to go down when there's more buyers than sellers. That's just how it works. So what I was going to say, the only losers in this situation is the buyers who literally are like, it's going to crash and go down 40%. I'm waiting. And we never said that. I mean, we say, just to not totally make you feel stupid, we say that, that's one of the possibilities. But that was never going to happen. And there was several reasons why, and we've explained them on their podcast. Those are the only losers in this situation, because they were probably doing this at a different time when the rates were even better. And now they're kind of stuck like, oh, I'm paying somebody lots of rent. Unless they're living at home with their mama for free or something, then it's okay.
My kids don't even live at home with their mama for free anymore.
But I'm saying then you're okay not buying or renting because you're living for free.
Yeah, no.
Then you can hold off. But I still think you shouldn't predict that it's going way down. Some of those people that are living for free are thinking it's going way down. It's not. It's flattening out. It's just a little bit of a plateau, and boop, and settle.
Yeah. No, and this is my 8th or 9th spring. I can't remember, but when's the last spring that you've seen that didn't go stay where it's at or go more? I mean,
I don't think I've seen a spring since, let's say, 2012, where it hasn't peaked up a little bit in the spring.
Yeah.
So like last year, it peaked up so hot that the prices were year over year, depending on the area, 10, 20% higher. And then even that it dropped off a little bit in the fall, the year over year appreciation, a lot of areas were still 7 to 10% from 2022 over 2021.
Yeah.
And then I thought there could be, in some areas this will happen, a dip where that kind of still levels off more. It doesn't look like it. Lack of supply, like we should have another appreciation year and at worst be flat. Like you probably could see another 3 to 5% this year, which I wouldn't have thought that was a huge possibility, obviously like 6 months ago. But now with the lack of people deciding to list their homes, the supply being so limited, the demand being a little bit higher because of that pent up demand again, it might be more than a flat year. It might be another 3 to 5% appreciation year.
Yeah, and lack of people listing their homes is because they think, well, I'm in a 2.5%, probably to 3.5% interest rate. Why would I want to go buy another house? I'll just stick it out here, even if I don't like it for a couple of years. Probably, mostly. Otherwise, the other ones are like, well, I'll just wait till the market goes back up so I got what my good neighbor got, right? Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why we're seeing a lack of inventory.
Yeah. So, people are in their loan, and they might have. So if they bought it at that rate, I think it's easier for them to move in 2 years than if it's somebody that refinanced to it a year and a half ago, because you actually don't pay for your refinancing if you move it in 2 years. So economically, it doesn't make sense. So a lot of the listings we have are people that are relocating. Some people move for job or family situation or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people yet on hold for just the live where they want to live situation. There's still few of those people. You have some people downsizing that are like, okay, this house is too big, I'll downsize, right? That's always going to be whatever. If they list in an up market, down market, normal market, that's always a challenge for those people. Because if you have your nice big two-story home that the kids moved out of, and now you're going to your one-level townhome or whatever is a more normal downsizing home, you're paying a lot of money for that one-level townhome and getting a little bit more, or some cases, depending how dated it is, not even that much more on your bigger home. That's always a challenging move. But here's the deal. A lot of those people have minimal or no mortgage, so they're like, whatever, that interest rate don't affect them. So I would say a lot of my sellers are sellers without a mortgage. So this market, this economy is holding the mortgage people out of the market from selling, which is going to keep prices up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, in my time over the last 3-4 months, I knew this was going to happen. Like, even one of my houses I put on the market in, gosh, when did I put on the market? Beginning of November, sat on the market for a good 75 days, took it off, and I'm going to put it back on, and it's going to go right away. So it's just like, it's understanding that, I don't know if people really don't want to move in the winter or they really had to wait until their lease is up. I'm not really sure what happens in the winter here, but definitely probably most people could get a little bit better deal the last couple of months than they're going to get right now. So
yeah, if you were a buyer who could have bought in December, you would have done better than if you bought right now.
Yep. Which is year over year the same thing. And we tell people and they're like, oh, the market's going down. No, it's not.
Or they say, yeah, I don't want to move in December. Like Michelle said, when you do the workout outside, you don't even notice it. The moving is the workout. It's fine. Other than obviously if it's a blizzard the day you're moving, that's probably not ideal.
Probably not ideal. But I moved in December and I was just fine. So
yeah, in some ways moving in the winter is better because it's not 100 degrees and you're like dying of the heat while you're carrying stuff around. So
true. Yeah. So I mean, that's basically what we're gonna see here, and we'll see. I would guess it'll go pretty strong till April, push into May, maybe. It's what the normal market does. The last couple of years has been a little bit off all over the place, but I remember in the first couple of years I did it, the normal market pushed into about May, and then it didn't go down much. So we'll see. It doesn't go down much, but it just gets a little slower. Again, I think that's because a lot of those leases are up, school is getting out. That's just kind of typical. So.
Mm-hmm. And I do think it'll be a low inventory year. Experts predict real estate. Here's where people get confused. Real estate transactions down, but if they say real estate sales down, they think prices are down. Now, the amount of sales, the amount of transactions projected to be less. That's because less houses available, even less than last year. Like last year, it was like inventory shortage, but we were getting more listings January and February than it seems like we're getting now because there's just people kind of, they don't know what's happening in the market. They think, A, I can't move, it's a bad economy or whatever. B, I can't move because my interest rate, which I understand. Nobody's buying houses now. I heard the economy's, down, or housing's less people are selling. So no, less people are selling. So that's good for you as a seller right now. It's keeping your price up there.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I see. Good. I mean, good for the sellers, good for the buyers. They'll still have way better opportunity than they would have last spring or the spring before. But
and that brings up a point on multiple offers now. I don't know if like in the one you mentioned, if it did get bid up or you were.
It did for sure, because unless they took in a cash offer, mine was over the list price and we didn't get it. So.
Sure. Yeah. So I ran into multiple offers. On A, I had a listing that got multiple offers, 4 offers. B, I had a buyer this last few days that ran into 3 offers. And on ours, we were underpriced. They actually countered us. My buyers wanted to hold firm. And I think I properly told them, like, right now, I think you are the best offer. But what I think they're going to be doing is going around to everybody and trying to counter them back to the price they want, which could have been full asking price. And with us, it was literally like 6,000 under asking price. So somewhere in between full asking and 6,000 under. And sure enough, you go around to 3 people. Somebody does want the house, that little bit extra, and probably are happy to play listing price or 4,000 under or whatever they ended up getting on it, because my buyer did not get it. And I had told them exactly what was going to happen. And that's what happened. And one of the reasons I knew that, on the listing, I had 4 offers. We didn't, we had good offers, but again, not perfect ideal, not June, May, April 2022 type of bid up offers, more just people hovering around the price with different contingencies, different financing that may or may not be ideal. And we had the plan of going around to maybe 3 of those people and seeing who was going to pay the price we were hoping to get. And we ended up just the first one went with it. So we didn't have to go to number 2 or number 3, like maybe the other one that did. So that's part of the multiple offers. Doesn't mean you can't ask for closing costs. Doesn't mean they're getting bid up 20,000, but they might. It means willing to pay about what the seller's hoping to get. And typically, if you have 3 or 4 people, somebody's going to do that. So if you're like, I'm going to get 20,000 off, obviously in multiple offer, no, that's not happening.
No.
Outside. Are you doing your outside workout?
Yeah, no, not yet. Just moving around.
You want me to keep you on the stream, Michelle?
You're good. I just got to back out of the driveway.
Okay. All right. So as you know, we do this low production. Me and Michelle are the producers. I should point this out in case people wonder how we use this. I mean, it might say somewhere. I use a service called StreamYard. I obviously have an account. It connects with my Facebook, YouTube, I think Twitter, LinkedIn, but LinkedIn, it doesn't look like you can really broadcast to yet. I haven't figured that out. And yeah, when we do these podcasts, we record them like I'm doing, then I put them on my Lisbon platform for my podcast, and you can listen to the recording. So if you tuned in like, what are they saying about real estate? I can't listen now. The Real Life Impact show, which is on pretty much, I don't know, there's probably lots of podcast platforms, but like on Apple and iHeartRadio and Spotify and wherever these podcasts are, you can find Real Life Impact show and listen to this podcast, our past ones, and where we made predictions, my past one where I talked about my name situation on Facebook, all that stuff. So yeah, now Michelle's back in the vehicle and looks like she's settled in.
Settled in, done backing up. Did a good job.
Yep. So and reminder, if you're watching live, which when we do an impromptu show at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we know it's limited live viewers. I could record this and just post it out. We could tell people about it 3 days in advance. I'm still trying to figure out the Facebook situation. So we just like, hey, let's pop on, do a recording here, or do a live video and turn it into recording, like I just said. So other things to expect in 2023. One of the things I posted in maybe the notes section, Michelle, is what are buyers, sellers, and realtors really maybe not thinking about, not considering, not maybe doing in this current market we are in? What do you think they might be missing or not thinking about?
Like when you're making an offer or what?
It could be making an offer. It could be just with your searches, whatever comes to mind, like what might they not be thinking about?
Oh, I mean, like I've been setting up searches and people get like too picky, and then I have to like open them up because they're like, oh, I have to have 3 cars, and they're like, okay, maybe I can go 2. And it's like, I think they got too picky now when they thought, oh, everyone said the prices are falling out, I'm getting to, I can get this. No, I mean, you can't get picky right now. Like you can get picky on the house, but maybe not on the search. That's one thing.
And you don't have to be picky on the search because there's not 4 million listings to look.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, like, I think when people are making offers, I do think people are still waiving inspections. In fact, I know they are because I've seen other realtors post that people are still waiving inspections, which is fine. They can do whatever they want. As a buyer, you can do whatever the heck you want. And that's probably what's still getting people through. They're winning the bids with doing no inspections. I've gotten a couple offers through with closing costs about a month or so ago. I'm not sure, unless the house has been sitting there a while, you're going to get an offer through with asking full closing costs. I guess it's just going to all depend on where the house is located. But definitely, I think going out, what people aren't realizing, if you go out the first time you see a house, first day in the market, make a strong offer right away and they might just take it. You know, that's what I think. Don't
Yeah, a
try to like
couple.
lowball them, hoping that no other offers come in. Because make an offer on a Tuesday and 3 days later it's a weekend and you got 5 more offers, you probably could have bought it on a Tuesday for cheaper.
Possibly.
So,
I think one of the biggest things is buyers thinking they're going to get 30,000 off the listing.
well, that too, but
Other than if somebody's overpriced by 30,000 and you decide to look at it and you're fine, you know it's overpriced and the seller realizes it's overpriced. Yeah, I think we're already at like they're going to get very close to the price. And if you ask for closing costs, which I think is acceptable, they're going to probably push back with partial closing costs or partial raise the price. The sellers are still going to negotiate back on you. You're not just automatically going to go in and get closing costs and then feel like, wow, if they're not paying all my closing costs, this is abnormal. First of all, for 2+ years, they were almost never paying closing costs. So
yeah.
sellers still want most of what they wanted and could get a few months ago. And guess what? It's trending back that way, not the crazy bid up way, but yeah, limited closing costs and some waived inspections. That was one of the ones in the 4-offer situation that help the person that got it. They waived the inspection and had 25% down conventional loan. So it's like, this sounds like a more solid deal. We don't need to mess around because I've got an FHA one going on that was like a 3-month closing. And then they come up with other issues, month and a half into it. My seller, their buyer, and then you're in the air. We're like in limbo for probably 2-3 weeks, hoping some lender I don't know, who I'm sure does a good job, with a buyer I don't know because I have the seller, with an agent I don't know that I don't know what he doesn't know, hoping they do their right thing to get through. The seller doesn't want that. If you're that buyer with a lender that isn't well known, or a company out of state, or a national company that just kind of throws a pre-approval together, you got to know that that's not ideal for a seller. And anytime it's close, even if you're a little bit tiny bit better on your offer, you lose. Scoreboard is you're the loser in it. Somebody else is the winner. You got to have the right people working with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just sold my house in Florida, basically first day in the market. And it was so interesting. The lender called me today and was asking me questions as the seller, obviously, and the agent too. And I was like, wow, this is a good lender. It's like, wow, if I do any more deals in Florida, I might have to use this lender. And it was like the preferred lender of the seller's agent, I believe, something like that. But I was like, yeah, this one's good. Like, they want to get to closing and they want to get there fast. And you got to have a lender that knocks it out of the park. I mean, if your lender's not even calling the agent on the day you make the offer, or texting or email or trying, you can't even get a hold of them, you probably got to switch lenders. That's what I'm like telling you.
Yeah.
So that's what Chuck's basically saying too. So yeah, I mean, it's ideal for, people are like, I know another thing too, I always thought right now is a good time to buy because you're closing in about 45 days. So say you're closing into March, usually by then it's warm enough to get the AC turned on so you can make sure everything works. You're almost out of the escrow period, so it's kind of a tricky time to buy for escrows and stuff, but you're almost to where you need to be at to get everything done because winter will be over, by the time you closed, and get right into your house right before spring, and the seller gets out right before spring, and it's like really perfect time to get ready, and you get to plant your own flowers. In Minnesota, it's like a different way of life, when you're buying a house at this time of the year. So
correct. Yeah. And I think some of the people selling, if they're not in, those, situations where they own it free and clear, maybe they have an interest rate, or maybe it's almost paid off. I think some of the people selling are still people worried that in the near future, the market is going to go down. And my advice to them has been, no, I think it's going to be pretty flat. And my advice, and people who have listened to podcasts over the years, it's probably not going to, there's obviously always a little bit of waves. It's not going to go dramatically down till the middle 2030s. And then there'll be some crazy crash somewhere in there. Then you better be ready for. But that, think about that. We're in 2023. You could easily buy a home 15-year mortgage, pay a little extra, and have it paid off by then, and it wouldn't matter. But some people are selling now, I think, because it's going to crash, which is fine. Whatever works, it's higher end because I think we're going to see not a whole lot of appreciation over the next few years. So I wouldn't necessarily hang on to it thinking you're going to get a lot of appreciation. But I think some people are a little bit in, I got to sell it before inflation gets worse or whatever happens. I mean, is the worst of inflation over? Maybe, but I mean, they're just so backlogged economy wise that I don't know. They're just going to keep it afloat for a while until people are numb to it. And then eventually years from now, it's going to be, well, that's what I think. It's going to be bad. So I'm not saying don't sell now. Yeah, definitely sell if you want to, but I wouldn't sell because you think it's going to go down 30%. But if you do think it's going to go down 30%, yeah, then you should sell because you make your own gut check feeling on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an interesting way to look at things all around. And again, this is no different than the videos, the lives we did 2 years ago when COVID hadn't started yet. Like, really, the whole thing is like, if you want to move, just move. I mean, goodness sakes. I bought a house in Florida almost 2 years ago, and now I have a lake house, and I'm selling the house in Florida, selling a different house. I have low interest rates on those and a little bit higher, obviously, on the one I just bought, but I don't care. I'm going to go where I'm going to go. And you could say, oh, you're a real estate agent. That's just what you do. No, it's probably not just what I do. It's just what's happening, and it makes sense to all do it at one time. And I'm not going to just worry about that there's 5-6% interest and not buy the house I want to be and live where I want to live just to save a few bucks here and there. Because you really you're going to sell unless you bought like last spring, you're going to sell and break even or make money depending on when you bought. So,
and also historically 5 to 6% interest rates are totally good interest rates. And then what you're saying about, you got a higher interest rate, say on the one house, what you can refinance it if they go down low again, and then you locked in your equity. And if what could be happening or what normally happens long-term, homes appreciate, then you locked in at the lower price, then it'll be higher. And then you can just lower your interest rates later, but you can't get equity if it goes up, another 50,000.
Yeah. Nope. So I think, that's about where you should be at, and just do what you want to do. I mean, if you can do it, do it. I mean, unless you're going to live in your parents' basement and save a little bit more money for 6 months, then maybe do that. My kids are doing that. But after that, go live your life. That's what we're here for, right? So that's where I'm at.
Sounds good. So we're at almost 30 minutes in the show, which I think is long enough for this show. We had not done a What's Happening in Minnesota Real Estate show since early November. So about a little over 3 months. And a lot of times we have been going to do these about quarterly, so that's not uncommon. The market does probably, at least in that last 3 months, Michelle, seemed like it kind of did dip and come back up. Like that was the biggest dip.
Yeah, like those 3 months we were gone, it went down and now it's back up.
Yeah, I think
when I'm saying go down, I mean, it wasn't super down. It was literally we disappeared. The market kind of disappeared, which is really normal for that time of year. And now it's back to where it was the last show we did.
Correct. Yeah. And like you said, Minnesota winter, a normal year, a little bit hit or miss as far as the amount of people moving, buying, selling. The most surprising thing I'd say in the last few months is how many land purchases are going on. Land, and there's some, people listing their mediocre, whatever the right word is for it, not horrible land, but not great land for cheap. And that's some of my sales for affordable enough. People want that 10-acre piece, that 20-acre piece. If you know somebody who's got a little parcel they don't use, it's just sitting there growing. What grows? Growing brush, growing tumbleweeds. Why not sell it? You pay taxes on it for 20 years and they just sit on it. And in a way, they probably made money on it. But I feel like I have to do the math on some of these. Okay, you own this for 30 years. You paid not much tax, say $80 a year for 30 years. Maybe it used to be $20 a year. And I
2,400.
do the math, and then they're selling it for, let's say, 32,000. I'm like, was that even worth it? I'm sure they make a couple bucks in the end, but it's like, so you just paid, say, $50 a year for all those years, which again, I know it's less than 30,000, but it's like, okay, man, you made a few bucks. You got a few bucks. I guess it probably was worth it, but some of them don't seem worth it. Like I literally have some I'm listing that are paying, say, $30 a year taxes that are literally worth 5,000. So they literally lost like probably a few $1,000s on sitting on this land.
So what Chuck's saying, if you have land just sitting around, you might as well sell because it's still a hot commodity.
It's the hottest commodity I've ever seen land. And if you're not using it, somebody would love to go take their doggies out there and run around for a while.
Yes, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. So we'll come back in the future with one of these. Probably in between then, I'll do a couple little my own podcasts. Otherwise, this is What's Happening in Minnesota Real Estate Show, episode 28. Chuck Karstensen, Michelle Karstensen signing off. Goodbye, everybody.